Well, folks, I'm back after more than a month. I have moved from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, to the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur. You can see the background has changed. It's a much bigger apartment for whatever reason. But let's start with this nice article on how the drone revolution may help agriculture and may in fact make it more sustainable with micro applications of fertilizers, pest management, irrigation maybe, and so on, monitoring crop stresses, etc. So the title of this Policy Forum article, which appeared in Science here in September, I'm recording this in the beginning of October, Can the Global Drone Revolution Make Agriculture More Sustainable? Here is a worker using a drone to spray pesticides in a paddy field in Jiangxi province of China. Its photo is from June 2020. But drones have, there is a revolution in the sense they are everywhere now with very nice things like just doing recreational photography or wedding photographs, and also very bad things like fighting in wars and spying and all kinds of nasty things, right? So anything we invent can always be misused. Let's read some main points. The use of drones has increased considerably over the past decade, reshaping activities as diverse as warfare, entertainment, delivery service, and disease control. So drones are being very effectively used in making movies and so on as well. Entertainment industry, you can use micro drones to create patterns in the sky that look really, really stunning. And all this has happened in about 5 years. Little academic attention has been paid to the use of agricultural drones beyond the laboratory or trial plot at scale. Many companies are now using them, but it's not at scale yet. Evidence of the extent and effects of drones' real-world use is partial and fragmentary. Here they explore the evidence and hypothesis about global agricultural drone diffusion and its implications for sustainability, and set out an agenda for future policy and science. So obviously drones perform a growing array of tasks on farms, including sowing seeds, spreading fertilizers and feeds, spraying herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides, counting livestock, monitoring and mapping fields, and assessing crop health and crop yields as well. Crop spraying is the most common agricultural drone used worldwide, followed by spreading fertilizers and broadcasting rice seed and cover crops. Multifunctionality makes drones very powerful, and applications are possible in all types of farming, and crucially drones may also improve crop yields and enhance sustainability compared with the conventional practices. If you're sitting, no matter how, using a tractor or whatever, you can't go around covering large tracts of land, whereas drones can do that very quickly, effectively, and efficiently, right? Well, innovation and global diffusion has happened. Remote-controlled aircrafts have been used in agriculture since the 1980s. In some countries, large-scale spraying of pesticides, insecticides. You saw this little planes swooping down and spraying stuff, even also to put out fires and so on. The earliest multi-rotor drones used in agriculture were very small and could perform few tasks, but improvements in drones design have given rise to larger models capable of carrying heavier loads, which means they can carry up to 100 kilograms, more than the weight of a typical sack of fertilizer. So you can imagine how much that can be done. So this capability has made drones suitable for a wide variety of agricultural tasks and for use on farms of all sizes. Here is the intensity of the drone diffusion. You're looking at drones per 1,000 kilometers squared of cropland and GDP per capita, so purchasing power parity in US dollars. So you can see that as you go from low numbers to high numbers, USA sits here, and surprisingly it has far fewer drones per 1,000 square kilometer of cropland compared to, let's say, China, whose GDP per capita is much lower, 1/3 of what the US has. But China has 251,000 drones per 10,000 square kilometers. Vietnam, India here is higher than USA, even though its GDP is 1/3 of China, for example. Japan is up here, South Korea. So dot area is proportional to the number of agricultural drones in operation. So obviously you guessed that by now, right? Implications for sustainability. Drones may affect agricultural sustainability through three main channels. Primarily productivity and resource use efficiency, rural livelihoods, and human health. These variables may reinforce one another, bringing about benefits to society and the environment, but there can be trade-offs that bring new negative externalities, especially in the context of global south. Could be livelihoods lost, jobs lost, labor employment reduced, or other things. Productivity and resource use efficiency, for example, in theory, drones can be used to implement sustainability enhancing precision agriculture by using sensors to capture specific information from plants, analyzing it to provide crop health assessments, and using that analysis to support highly targeted variable rate application of fertilizers or pesticides, precision pesticide applications. In practice, such techniques have yet to be widely adopted, in part because different types of drones are currently required for multispectral sensing and input application. Nevertheless, drones may already contribute to environmental sustainability in several ways. So when you are spraying insecticide, fungicide, fertilizer, etc., you need to look at the crop stress, color of the leaves, and so on. So you need multispectral sensors like hyperspectral cameras. A further promising area in which drones may reduce crop losses and bolster food security is through integration into early warning systems for disaster risk reduction. We have talked about this elsewhere. For example, remotely sensed satellite data on soil moisture and vegetation cover can be used to predict possible locations for emergent locust infestations, and drones can be directed to these areas to detect locust concentrations and spray to prevent swarms developing. You can also use this soil moisture monitoring for crop stress and irrigation advisories, when to irrigate, when not to waste water, and so on. Rural livelihoods, on the other hand, drones may raise farm incomes and affect rural employment through several channels contributing to the sustainability of rural livelihoods. Drones save labor by dramatically reducing the amount of time needed to apply crop inputs. This may free rural households to work off-farm, increasing and stabilizing incomes and managing risks, or to use labor for diversifying on-farm into high-value crops such as vegetables, cash crops. By reducing the quantity of inputs and labor applied to each hectare of land, drones can save farmers money. Of course, there are some examples in the references given. Other impact from drones: human health. The major benefit of spraying crops remotely by using drones is that it substantially reduces the risk of farm workers' direct exposure to toxic chemicals compared with applying them with handheld sprays. So you can typically fly 2 or more drones 2 or more meters off the ground, which may increase the risk of spray drift to neighboring farms or bystanders relative to ground-based spraying, particularly where regulations are absent and so on. So there are always pros and cons. You may be spraying remotely, but you may be spraying at a level that makes it easier to drift away into neighbors' farms or people nearby. Implications for science. There is a pigeon on my door. Implications for science and policy. Like all important new technologies, drones arouse uncertainty and create new dilemmas. Several issues at the nexus of science and policy should be prioritized to help enhance the potential benefits and address the dilemmas that may arise. Facilitating inclusive agricultural drone diffusion. So, obviously a digital divide already exists, and then it may add in terms of advantages to large-scale, industrial-scale farmers compared to smallholders, and that may translate into market competitions where smallholders will lose, and so on and so forth. Countries where favorable economic conditions for drone takeoff exist, but diffusion is hindered by restrictive policies such as South Africa and the Philippines, can draw from the experience of high diffusion countries to adjust the policy mix in ways that accelerate diffusion safely and responsibly. So China, for example, has a type of government which can just do whatever it wants. Farmers may not have much say, but in other countries, governments have a lot of control on who can do what. Flying drones itself may require special permissions and so on, which introduces again problems of equal access. Reducing input use and raising farm yields. So 5G networks enable reliable high volume data transfer and real-time kinematic positioning networks to allow for more accurate spatial positioning of drones. Promoting precision agriculture will also require deeper integration of drone sensing, analytical and input application functions, with training and extension needed to enable farmers, particularly smallholders, to adopt. So there is investment in public good, where if government wants to help raising farm yields in India, they want to double the farmers' incomes, for example, and this kind of smart agriculture with the help of drones can be a good idea. Avoiding rural labor displacement. Policies to address potential displacement of farm workers by drones could include training for reskilling, so including as drone operators or pilot assistants. Somebody's ringing my door, so I have to pause. Okay, so it was some cable guy, reminds me of the Seinfeld episode with Kramer. Anyways, so obviously drones, any technology disruption can affect employment, so you have to upskill, reskill, whatever, to make sure that people don't get left out. So cash buyouts and financial support for crop sprayers to acquire drones could reduce loss of income and accelerate the transition as well, to help increase income for all. Obviously, you have to minimize risks to human and environmental health in the meantime. So the shift in many global south countries from applying inputs by hand to applying them by drone presents a critical opportunity to formalize and professionalize crop spraying. This change would promote greater standardization and safety in an otherwise poorly regulated sector. Doing so would help mitigate direct risks to human health for sprayers and risks to environmental health posed by excessive agrochemical use and spray drift, etc. So regulations should also be designed in ways that do not exclude small players who may need time and support to receive accreditation as such. Okay, coming to the end, maintaining technology sovereignty. So global drone market is highly concentrated. Countries prioritizing national security concerns run the risk of denying farmers. So you may want to have drone technology like Ukraine, Turkey. Random countries have incredible expertise in drones, which they are selling for spying and warfare and so on. But countries are supremely sensitive about flying drones. India, for example, wouldn't want drones flying around in sensitive areas on the border, etc. But such a restriction based on national security shouldn't prevent farmers from benefiting from the drone technology. So we want to ensure both technology sovereignty as well as widespread use for helping farmers and sustainability in agriculture, right? Ensuring equitable data use, this always comes up. So as drones can have, much more data coverage if you are rich enough to fly lots of drones. Satellites go around, maybe come around once a day or twice a day, and they just go along tracks, whereas drones can crisscross and map large tracts of land if you have enough resources. But once you collect data, who owns and who has access to these data, where they are stored and how they are used, have implications for farmers' privacy, the ability to generate public goods, and possibly national security as well. So if aggregated for processing with predictive models, such data could provide public goods including seasonal yield predictions, accurate crop production estimates, or early warnings of pest infestations. Information collected by drones may also be used for verification of crop damage to support insurance payouts or compensation. So farmers buy crop insurance, and crop insurance companies are not very eager to pay out. So once a claim is made, they may then use satellites and drones, etc., to make sure that in fact there was crop damage and so on. The drone revolution is upending historical patterns of agricultural technology diffusion. In just 5 years, millions of farmers across Asia and beyond, many of them smallholders, have gained access to a powerful new technology with a broad and rapidly growing array of practical uses. These are strong indications that drones can raise the efficiency and productivity of farming, improve worker safety, and enhance rural livelihoods, but these impacts have yet to be evaluated rigorously. Applied interdisciplinary research and corresponding policy responses are urgently needed to steer the global drone revolution in ways that make agriculture more sustainable. Okay, so a nice little article and very relevant, so I thought I'll include it here. I'll make sure that the disruption didn't do anything nasty to the podcast, and then we'll see you in the next topic, where we'll look at how partially setting up defenses in urban flooding areas may actually increase inequality for people who are living far away from where interventions are made. But the way these podcasts are arranged is not necessarily sequential, because they are arranged by topics, but I thought I'll mention what my next topic is. Okay, see you.